What's up? What's up? What's up, fellas? Did y'all hear that beat?
Yeah.
Y'all like that beat?
I was gonna ask you to cut it back on.
You want me to cut it back on? I
I
could play it
I like
during
it.
the actual show, but that's gonna be the new instrumental for our opening.
I like it.
And shout out to my cousin, Lil Fred Pryor, doing his thing and supplying us with that beat. We'll be coordinating, hopefully with Fish, maybe with Fish. He'll be creating some opening credits for us. If Fish can't do it, we're gonna make sure some opening credits happen. But I felt good after that beat. Like, I don't know about y'all, but that when I heard it, that was the first one. He sent me a beat of he sent me a drive of maybe 60 beats and was like, do what you want, whatever you want to do with them, go ahead. That was the first one I heard, and I was like, I've got to use that because that right there sets me in the mood to start talking. So what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Man Experience. You see, we're kind of missing one right now, but hopefully he'll join on. Hopefully Fish will be able to get on. Just experiencing some technical difficulties. But fellas, y'all want to say hi to our adoring fans out there? Go ahead and say hi.
Hey.
What's happening?
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about, I think today's episode is going to be interesting. Fish is asking the question, and it was something that I really had to think about. And I don't know, fellas, if you had a difficult time finding something to talk about today, but it was hard for me to try to come up with something in this particular topic. But I think it's going to be very interesting. And I think I think we might dive into maybe some things that people probably have never shared, maybe. And maybe this is an opportunity for them to share out in the open and maybe also gain knowledge from somebody else who maybe experienced something and went through something and was able to come through it, whatever the case may be. But I do love today's question. And there he is, Fish, looking sexy.
I finally got in. I finally got in here. Hold on one second.
You good, bro? We just started, man. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I shared the beat with them that we're gonna be playing for our intro, and they all seem to like it. I emailed it to you, but I will make sure that you get it for you to hear it as well. But I'm just gonna go ahead with the weekend review, and the weekend review is really the weekend review as it always seems to be. Another shooting in Alabama, a shooting in Pennsylvania. The Trump situation is still ongoing. We have the NBA playoffs starting off. The Sacramento Kings are the third seed and beat the Warriors yesterday. I know Nando is feeling some type of way. Fish hit me up last night and basically said he couldn't even believe that the Kings are a third seed. The Kings have not been in the playoffs. The last time they was before the iPhone came out, guys. Before the iPhone was created, that was the last time the Kings was in the playoffs.
Was it the Peja Stojakovic years?
Yes,
I think
we were talking about that before you joined on. It was Peja, it was Mike Bibby. It was that squad.
The end of Weber.
Yeah, they have Weber. Yeah,
the end of Weber. Yeah.
Oh, they had Chris Weber too.
Yeah, they had Chris Weber.
I forgot about that.
So that's been a minute. This is also the first time in history that all four teams in California have made the playoffs together. Shout out to my Lakers. Y'all talked last week. What do you? Huh?
Who?
My Lakers. Look, don't start with me. You are LeBron. You like LeBron. But shout out to my Lakers. We'll see. Fish and Jamon's team, the Bulls, have been eliminated, unfortunately.
Are you surprised?
I mean, I wanted y'all. I wanted y'all, but I will say, like I said before, I'm not like a Patrick Beverly fan. Like I don't know what it is about him that I don't like. He's not good enough to talk the trash that he's good, obviously, to be in the NBA, but he's not good enough to talk the trash that he talks.
That's why I like him. Weird. Normally, I wouldn't like that, but for some reason, Pat Bev, like I'm just like I like him.
I need to mention one thing on the Bulls. They made their mistake by not taking DeMar DeRozan's daughter to Miami.
Oh, yeah, because she was in the background with all that screaming and noise, and he made mention of it that it was a school night. She was gonna be in school, and she had to be in school. So I mean,
I know Fish will remember this. You remember the Giants that year? The kid running out into home plate almost got ran over.
Yep.
Dusty Baker.
Was it Posey that?
No, it wasn't Posey that picked him up. It was JJ. No,
JT Snow, right?
JT Snow. Yep,
JT Snow. Yeah, I remember that.
And it all went downhill from there.
My brother is Nando Fish. They get hype about that sports talk, man. I need to get them to do a show just on sports. Like I really do. Like I want them to log into this and just do a show strictly on sports whenever they feel like it. So I'm gonna challenge y'all to do that. I'm challenging y'all right now.
Are we picking who's gonna win the finals?
We can. It's not gonna be the Lakers. I want them to, but it's not going to be.
I'm still say the Warriors though.
I don't know, man. I don't see us winning this year. I appreciate
on the road.
I see us getting past the Kings. But
what you mean us? You're a Bulls fan. Stop that nonsense.
Well, the Bulls are eliminated, so I can jump on the Warriors now.
I'm not allowing you to do that. I'm not allowing you to do that. I'm not allowing you to do that. You go down with the team. The Bulls lost. You going down with them.
So I can't root for nobody now?
You can root for them, but you're not going to utilize the phrase of
he said,
we going to win. Like that's your team. No, you can root for them. Rooting for them and then claiming them as your team is two different things.
Steph Curry might not make it past the Kings. I mean, he'll make it past the Kings, but I don't know if he will make it past the second round.
They just went on the road, the Warriors.
So who would we play? Was it Memphis or the Lakers?
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. Them versus
Playoff
Lakers
LeBron. Again. Playoff LeBron. He's leading in what? Scoring, assists. What else? What
LeBron always
is he leading in?
Playoff LeBron always shows up.
He always shows up. He always tries to find a way. So I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Anybody want to make a pick though?
Yeah, I think right now I'm going to go. I like the Celtics. Okay. Celtics. I like them coming out of the East. I think they'll get by Milwaukee, and I like Phoenix out of the West.
Okay.
So Phoenix and I think Phoenix will beat Boston. So I'm going Phoenix in 6.
So KD gets his third championship.
Correct.
Are you let me ask you this, and this might be for Fernando too. Are you one of those ones that feels like he deserves an asterisk by his name?
No.
You know my feelings, not at all.
No.
I don't either. The boy can ball.
This isn't like this isn't like in baseball where you use the cork bat or anything like that. This is, This is he went to a team, the team won. There should be no asterisk at all.
He's not like going to a team. He's sorry, and he's going to a team to ride the pine, right? Or I guess that wouldn't apply in this, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's not going to a team to just sit on the bench or be a 6 man. He's arguably one of the greatest players of a generation, if not the greatest player of his generation of players.
He's a superstar going to make another team even better than
right.
Well, because now if you open up that with the asterisk, then you have to apply the same with LeBron. He went to Dwayne Wade's team.
Yeah, we had that. I feel like this conversation happened when he did that. When he went Bosh and Wade to Miami.
Yeah.
He did what's best for him. I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
LeBron won his championship. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's
got
gonna
no
be in the record books that way, right?
The only issue I had with LeBron when he was numbering the championships they were gonna win.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not 4, not 5, not 6.
Any other news, fellas? Besides the
NASCAR
shootings, the Trump situation, anybody have anything that they want to share that they did this past week? I mean, and the only reason I ask because I do.
I got one small thing that maybe you guys know about, and I shared you this, Desmond. I found a and Fernando, you may like this too. I found a ROM hack of Ocarina of Time that came out, and I have been trying to. That's all I've been doing the last week or so. Has been trying to download the ROM hack and play this Ocarina of Time remake, which is called the Sealed Palace. And I basically been watching it on YouTube. It's fascinating. So
yeah, you sent me some footage.
Yeah,
I heard they got a cease and desist, didn't they, or a takedown letter recently?
I don't know if they did. To be honest, yeah.
Interesting.
But be awesome to play.
I'm excited for the new Breath of the Wild too. So I literally have a Switch just for Breath of the Wild, Fish. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yep.
Only game that I have on mine currently right now is Breath of the Wild. I was actually in Maryland this past week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and left out Thursday. I actually stayed at Blake's house Tuesday night and Wednesday night, but I officiated a wedding for two phenomenal people who got married in Ellicott City, Maryland. I might be saying it wrong. But that's where they got married at outside. A young lady who was actually a student employee of mine when I worked at the University of Lynchburg asked me 2 years ago to officiate her wedding. And I counted it a privilege and an honor to be able to do something so phenomenal and share such a phenomenal time with these two young people. Many blessings to the Lanhams. I got nothing but love for y'all, and I thank y'all from the bottom of my heart for allowing me the opportunity to do such a phenomenal thing. I also on Friday was involved in a panel on race and social justice to kind of talk about it from the perspective of young people and how we get young people engaged and involved. And how do we support young people in the ideas that they have as it relates to community and their livelihood. So I'm thankful, obviously, for everything that I'm kind of involved in right now and putting myself in, and just thankful. So just wanted to share that with you all. If you are looking to get married, you can contact me.
Reverence Moses.
You can contact me. I will officiate. I will officiate. All right. But today's episode is actually entitled When the Going Gets Tough, and I will now turn it over to Fish for today's question of the day.
And for the most part, this is just for you guys, kind of what is the toughest situation that you've ever been in, and how did you get out of it? And it could be anything, you know. It could be a something in school, something at work, whatever. So, you know, how'd you get into it, and then how'd you get out of it, and you know, kind of go from there. So, I don't know if I should go first or whomever. I guess thinking about it right now, I guess I had to think. I really had to think long and hard too myself.
There you go. Awesome. Oh, you guys are? Cool. Awesome.
I muted him, y'all.
Oh, okay. Come on, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm parked beside this truck, and these people open the door saying they like my cowboy sticker, so I had to respond. To. That's just a given. Everything else stops when someone says your Cowboys are awesome. So,
Mm.
okay, well, I thought about
They
this.
sometimes lies abound deep. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I thought long and hard about this. And I honestly say the toughest time I've had to deal with ever is the loss of my father. That kind of was a no-brainer, and it came to me immediately as soon as the question came up. Because as I said, my father was involved in everything. Was involved in just being a leader in the community, and it was hard to follow him. Everybody's like, you're your dad. I can see your dad in your face. I can see your dad in the way you act, but to follow him would have been impossible because he was just into so much. But when he passed away, it was a huge void in my life because I knew all of a sudden, I had to step up and be the man. I had to step up and be, the man of the house. Had to step up and be not essentially had to fill his shoes, but now everything was like kind of focused on me now. But what I did was I went ahead and I just well, number one, I prayed to God, to give me the strength and give me the direction that I need to move forward with the kind of person that He wants me to be. So I prayed first, and then after that, I just took the reins, and I didn't try to be him, but I tried to, just instill values in people. He was a people person, so I continue to be a people person. He tried to help people. I continue to try to help people. He continued to, be a community leader. I'm not saying I'm a leader per se, but, I want to try to at least better the community in any way that I can, by way of, it can be on, just being mentors for youth, being, just giving advice to people who may not exactly look up to you for advice, but, someone that needs advice, just be there for them. And I was just, trying to just do what I have to do to make a difference in a world that is just crazy right now. You have shootings every day now. It's easier to take a gun out and shoot somebody other than just to talk and try to make amends. So I'm just trying to, just talk to that person. If I could turn one person around that has a bad day or that was looking to go for a life of, just heading down that wrong path of life, if I can just turn one person around, I think I did justice. So that's a long story just to say, worst part of my life, of course, losing my dad and, everything that he stood for and, somebody that I looked up to and followed, to now having to not take on his role, but to, go ahead and continue his legacy.
Did you when it happened? Did you talk were people reaching out? Were saying like, "Hey, you're gonna go through this. You're gonna go through this feeling," and were they giving kind of advice on how to cope with it and
Yeah. As soon as it happened, we were flooded with phone calls, and we were expecting it, of course.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone passes away, a family member, you're going to get, the whole day of phone calls. Everyone reaching out to you. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do for you? And we were prepared for that. But I appreciate it too because it just shows. I guess I could say it just shows your true friends. You have people that are hey, what's up? Family members even, that you try to connect with, you ain't connected with in so long, but as soon as something tragic happens, they step out of the woodwork, it's all good, but to answer your question, Fish, we did have the support of the people that we loved that, helped us and 20 years later are continuing to help us get through, 23 years later, and continuing to help us make it through day by day, because, it's every single day, it's something that happens that, you always wish that you had the advice of your dad. And when you don't have that, you have to kind of just rely on good friends, rely on cousins, other people like that, but there's nothing like advice from your own father, because, he's been there from day one with you and has helped you through thick and thin, whereas nobody else knows. So, with him, we had our share of people to help us fish.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
Gracious. 97 is when it happened. So, I would say 25 or 26 is what I was. One of those, 25 or 26. But I was working at SET for 4 years, and I can remember how it happened. I can remember the day that it happened as clear as water. I can remember how I got the news. I can remember everything I went through, all the pain, all the feeling, everyone I talked to. I remember it. But I was about 25, I guess. I'm trying to do the math. I'm horrible at math, but it's one of those, 25 or 26. So.
No, we got it. Good.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
that's one of the hardest points. And I don't be, and I can't speak for everyone who's lost a loved one, but it's just, you have to move on. That's true, but it's very, very difficult to move on and to get your life exactly like it was. It'll never be like it was, but it's just hard to get yourself, just raised up in the way that you need to be, in the way you think you should be, in support of the rest of your family members. Because right now I don't have any brothers or sisters. It's just basically me and my mom. That's it. Yeah. So that makes it a little bit tougher to do what I have to do later on. I couldn't, lean on a brother. I couldn't lean on a sister. I can lean on cousins, but that's to an extent, since a lot of my cousins live out of town, but I have good friends. I have close friends that I can lean on and do what I got to do to make it work. So I'm appreciative of my friends. I'm appreciative of everyone who is who I can lean on, who I can rely on, and I'm just grateful right there. But nothing ever replaces the feeling that you have on the day that something tragic like that happened.
Yeah. Steve. Hey, Jamon, you want anything else you want to say, or anything else you kind of want to add?
No. I'm just, I didn't mean for it to be such a Debbie Downer on that, but the question was, what's the toughest part? So it wasn't going to be an easy answer for me at all. I can't be like, toughest part is I'm happy, can't say that, but it just hit me. That's the first thing that came into my mind when you said that, and I was like, that's going to be hard to talk about, but that's what the question is. But the good news is I'm hoping to, it hasn't changed me to the point where I'm just depressed all the time or anything like that. Because I can feel him in me still with, what I do with the church, what I do with, just helping anybody, what I do with the theater and everything like that. I can just feel him within me because he wanted to make a difference. He was an outgoing person. He was the one that, made an impact on people's lives. And I think in that aspect, I feel him and that he is inside me. So that's the good news. And that's what I'm proud of. And that's it for me.
I think I know you said being a Debbie Downer. I don't really see it that way. It's something that everybody's going to be able to relate to in their life at some point, you know. And so, hearing you describe the situation, I'm sure it's good for others to, you know, have a cathartic response with that, knowing that, you know, there's as hard as it is to lose someone, that there's still a path to living your life, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not a therapist by no means. You know, I haven't taken any psychological classes, but you don't have to do that to just be there for somebody and to be able to talk to somebody, especially when you went through something that either they have been through, going through, or, you know, I mean, they don't even have to have a relative that passed away. I mean, they could just be feeling down. It just gives me strength to just be like, look, I can sit down and talk to you. I may not have the answer, but I can definitely relate to, you know, certain feelings that you're feeling. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Has anyone else besides you, Jamon, has anyone else lost a parent?
No.
Amongst us, no. Same here, yeah.
That's why I say right now, guys, every single day, just tell your mom how much you love her. Tell your dad how much you love him, and you know, if you can't, just spend as much time with them, because when they're gone, they're gone. You know. So that's all I would have to say.
I will say that, not necessarily a parent, but I lost somebody that I felt was close enough to be parent-like. So I wouldn't say I necessarily relate to Jamon's particular situation, but I think anytime that you lose somebody that's close to you, whether that be a parent, a friend, anybody of that nature, it does leave a big void in your life, and sometimes you try to find methods to kind of fill that void, and some people do it well, and others don't, and so hopefully from what Jamon has kind of shared with you all can see that there is a light kind of at the end of the tunnel. That legacy normally is a way to remember those loved ones that we lose, and living our lives for them.
Yep. That was deep. I guess I can go next. It's hard. Mine goes back to late 2012. I just moved back to Charlottesville, or I just moved to Charlottesville, and I was renting a place out on Route 29, and I wanted to be closer to work, and I worked in the Ix Warehouse building, which was downtown. That was where the TV station was. So I ended up moving in with another roommate that worked at the station. She ended up leaving to go to Roanoke for a TV position down there, and I was left with the lease, and it was a lot more that I can bite off to chew. So for 2 or 3 months, it got me to the point where I was in the negative cash flow, to where my account was negative. And I almost was at a position where, this is early 2013, I was like, I need to do something, because my credit's ruined. I'm not making any money here. I could potentially go back to Florida. And I was thinking of supplemental income coming in, or needing to do something. And one of my coworkers is like, well, why don't you just become a videographer and just kind of work on the side? And I was like, well, I don't have any money right now. I have nothing going on. And I ended up buying a camera for $200. And was like, all right, well, here you go. It wasn't like my last 200, but I already was kind of getting notifications from the landlord that I need to start paying, and otherwise it would be out. I don't know if you know this, Jamon, or not, but you remember the apartment that I was in. Um,
In
I don't even
Greensboro?
know yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
know, but I got myself in such a hole there where like I almost just
Wait,
moved back to Florida.
what you said? Greensboro,
No, no, no. This is in Charlottesville, Jamon.
Charlottesville, Jamal.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
really talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. But I kind of like my freelancing business started then. I didn't know anything kind of. Um, I guess I worried more about kind of going out on Fridays and Saturday nights that like I just saw my bank account just bottom out, and at the time I was in my late 20s, and I was like, I'm young, I can do whatever the hell I wanted, and never really focused on the financial side of it, where um, it almost really like kind of got me there. But I do remember that there was one night where I just sat at my kitchen table. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? For a couple of days, I wasn't really eating or sleeping well or not. It just kind of like ate at me. Like, what the hell am I going to do? This is going to um, be an issue going forward with any job perspective or just on my credit. But it's amazing. Yeah, I started searching like Craigslist vigorously back then for like video jobs, and I ended up getting a couple, and was able to dig myself out of the hole that I had created. But yeah, at the time, I made a really stupid financial decision, which was, I'd like my own apartment without getting a roommate in. And, I just, at the time, I looked at it like this would be more of like a 90210 bachelor pad and not worry about anything else at it. It was definitely tough.
Fish Perry.
Like yeah, it was definitely tough. A lot of like, sleepless nights and everything like that. But, it also opened up another door, which was freelancing. I still do that today. So, um, what is it? When the door closes, a window opens or something like that.
Absolutely,
Whatever
man.
the saying is, and that kind of takes, precedence on that. So I'd say that's the toughest situation that I was in, where, you know, I almost wouldn't be here right now,
Are
or I
you
almost wouldn't be in Virginia right now. I'd be somewhere in Florida.
are you do you still stay in contact with the initial roommate that
Yeah.
okay.
With the initial roommate, no.
Okay.
With my buddy who,
The one that went to Roanoke.
yeah, no, I don't stay in contact with them.
Okay. So for a minute there, I'm not gonna lie, Fish, and y'all please don't shun me or get on me. But when Fish made the comment that a friend came to him and was like, "Yeah, you should do," I literally thought in my head that sounds like the friend is gonna say you should do OnlyFans. But obviously it was in 2013. But that was like the first thought that came in my head was like, yeah, this is an opportunity for you to do OnlyFans.
Oh man,
which is wild. Feet pics, Fish. Feet pics.
shoot.
sorry.
People
But
ask
it's
them, yeah.
but it's a learning scenario, right? Like we've all like made some poor decision or some decision that had some kind of impact on our lives that we probably sat back and thought what was I thinking? But then hopefully there was something that came positive as a result of that decision. Because we learned, right?
It was, and it was never put money that you don't have on a credit card and not pay the interest, or yep. So there's 25% interest. Each month adds up quickly.
It does.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. So
I'm happy that you're still in Virginia.
so am I.
because obviously we probably wouldn't have what we have going on right now. Maybe we would, but there's also that possibility that we would.
Yeah. So no, I'm happy to get out of that. That was a tough one, and that was just me being stupid on having the credit card limit to where you think you're invisible and you really aren't.
Mm. You might need to come talk to some of these young people I'm talking to right now. I'm doing financial literacy in the after school program that I'm doing, and because it is financial literacy month, and yeah, like just talking to them about making sure and ensuring the difference between renting and buying, interest rates and all that kind of stuff. Like, now is the time that you can really mess yourself up as a young person.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Credit scores.
That's a big thing, yeah. Balancing a checkbook, everything. So, anyway, that's mine. Anything? Who wants to go next?
I got you. I go next. So I really had to think a lot about this, like what I considered a tough situation and what I considered just me being stupid, right? Like making dumb mistakes as a 18, 17-year-old kid, situations that I got into on my own, just being dumb. And so I tried to take those out of the equation. And honestly, what I came up with, the biggest one for me was getting married. And before y'all say anything, I'm not talking about my current wife. A lot of y'all might know this. I was married one time before.
I was like, hey, this is live. No, you know that, right?
Before Andrea comes running in here and John Cena's me right in front of everybody.
Yeah, but that could be a tough situation still in itself.
Sure.
It doesn't take away from the fact that you love the person. It's just
true. So a lot of people may not know this, but I was married once before, and I didn't want to get married even at the time. But we had been dating for so long, and I personally felt like I was being, guilted into marriage. I think that now. I thought it then too, but whatever. The ultimate decision was up to me. So I didn't want to get married. It's not something that I felt like. She was a great girl. She's a nice girl. She still is, I'm sure. But it just we got to a point where we were arguing all the time, right? This is leading up to the marriage even. And so I still went through with it, got married, and for about a year we were married, and just the same thing continued to happen, right? And I think I was like 24 at the time, 23 maybe. And just thinking to myself, like, I don't really know any better. Like, is this how marriage is, right? You just argue because it's two people and you just got to make it work, right? Like, there are some other factors that I won't really go into, but I handled it completely the wrong way, right? First of all, I got married when I knew I didn't want to. Second of all, instead of just getting divorced or having it annulled, I was a coward about it and let it go on for like a year, right? And then finally I just decided, I sat her down and I was like, look, like, this isn't working, like, obviously for me, but for you, I'm sure you're not happy either. And I was like, just was honest with her. I was like, I'm not in love with you anymore.
I'm sorry for interrupting. What was her reaction? If you don't mind me asking.
Me in the testicles.
Wow. So do you from that response, do you feel like she felt the same way, or?
No, I don't think so. I think she just felt like it was something we were working through. Because she was very upset. Yeah, I kind of knew like she was gonna do it too. It was weird. I just had this feeling when I'm talking to her. I don't know why. Maybe because I knew her for so long, right? Because I knew her like, geez, at that point, like 6 years. Like, not together for 6 years, but I've known her for that long. And so it went about as poor as it could have gone. But it was like a huge relief off of my shoulders afterwards, like being able to just be honest with her, be honest with myself, and because you lie to yourself when you're in situations too that you don't want to feel like a failure, obviously. And also at the time, like just me personally, I don't think I should have been married at 24. Just it works for some people, it didn't work for me. I wouldn't say I was immature, but I had a lot of growing up to do.
Do you feel like she was mature?
No, I don't think so either. I think she was in a hurry to get married. This shouldn't come as a surprise to nobody. I'm not the most religious person. I have my beliefs, and they're different from traditional Christianity. But she was very religious, and I think part of her felt guilty for living with me, before we were married. And so I think
that probably came in as well when you set her down and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not feeling this." Like,
right.
Oh, we not supposed to get divorced.
Right. So obviously, one who wants to be divorced already at 24. I think it was finalized at 25 or whatever. But again, like I think it plays into like her being more religious than I was. Probably if the whole thing affected her way more psychologically than me. I'm just guessing, right? I can't really speak for her. But when you're going into another room just so that you could be away from the person, right? So that you're going to start an argument or something or an argument is going to happen, and you're just avoiding them. I'm just like, this isn't like a way to live. You know what I mean? So I feel like I just made the hard decision for both of us because I failed to make that decision the first time.
Yeah.
When you were going through this, kind of like how many emotions were like kind of like you experiencing?
Yeah, pretty much all of it, right? Because you go through anger at her and yourself, or him or her, depending on the situation.
Almost like, why couldn't we make this work?
Right. And then, so I tend to overthink things and internalize things a lot. And so I'll start off in that angry phase, and then I'll go through self-criticizing myself. I was like, well, maybe if I did this, maybe it's me that's the issue, right? And then I'll go through like, just kind of like, you don't want to be that statistic of like, failing at something, right? Like, am I not really trying hard enough? You always hear about people who are like, oh, if it's broke, you just throw it away. That's what's wrong with young kids these days, right? And so, there's all that stuff in your mind, resentment, anger, sadness, that whole range of emotion, regret sometimes, even if like, did I do the right thing at that point,
But
so
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so pretty much every emotion, major emotion, I think you experience,
But obviously you recognize wasn't your fault, wasn't her fault. It was just two people that just probably shouldn't have been together.
Yeah. Essentially, just two people that shouldn't have gotten married, too young to get married. We weren't grown enough, right, to know each other. And one of us needs to be grown up, I feel like, when two people get married, right? At least one of them needs to be able to look at things through a mature lens, or a more mature lens than the other. And unfortunately at the time I didn't have a wide group of friends. I had moved away from some of y'all might not know this, but I moved to Virginia from California, so all my family was still on the West Coast. I talked to my brother a lot about this before it happened, and so he was a good person to vent to, right? But obviously he's younger than me, right? He's 2 years younger than me, I think, and so he doesn't have more experience in this. He's probably thinking along the same way as I do, but I feel like he is more level-headed when it comes to certain things. So I respect his advice. So I didn't have a lot of friends at the time to go to for advice. I think that was even maybe one of our issues too, is I didn't really have a friend group outside of the people that she knew, right? So I couldn't really go to people that I considered friends for advice without it maybe going back to her.
So you almost like in that scenario, your identity was her.
Yeah, right. That's exactly it.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that I knew that there's some that I'm still friends with, but there are a lot of people that I considered, at least that I thought were close friends, that I pretty much lost after
Because
we
of that.
divorced.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that maybe I considered our friendship closer than just my marriage to her, but apparently that's what it was.
Yeah.
So.
Did you feel like once it was going through the divorce, it was like did you feel like, I don't know if a hostage situation, but did you feel kind of like you were captive or hostage until it was finally finalized?
No, honestly, because it just things worked out. So
Yeah.
pretty much that we lived in a townhouse together, and the lease ended like 2 months later after this happened. So the timing was just okay, right? So I lived there. It was maybe it was 3 months, but it felt more so like I splintered off completely. So because of my friends group was so intertwined with her, or with who she, how do I want to say this? The friend group was hers basically, right? And so being able to separate myself, I made 2 really good friends, people I consider brothers, Sean and Derek. I know sometimes you guys watch, and they helped me out a lot through that when it was happening. And so I kind of met them when I first got married, and then over that year we became good friends. And so being able to separate my new friend group completely from her really helped not have that feeling, right?
Yeah.
Being held captive to waiting for this to be finalized, and because I had friends that could help me, that were separated from her, that could help me kind of just not think about it.
And that you could go out with and hang out with and associate with, and disconnect from her with. Wow.
Wow.
Y'all are learning some interesting things today, people. if nothing else, and listen to what these fellas are saying, because these are not scenarios that aren't uncommon, right? Like everyone's gonna lose somebody, right? Everyone's going to go through maybe a relationship that maybe they shouldn't be involved in. Everyone's probably going to go through a situation in which they make a decision on something that maybe they shouldn't have made a decision on. These are real life-changing and life-altering events that we all could go through at any time during our lives. So please take a listen to what these fellas are saying, because it might help you. It might help you.
I'll just say one more thing. The biggest lesson I learned from that is basically to say no, right? If you have to, like, you can't be afraid of what's going to happen if you say no. If you're in a situation where saying no is makes you afraid, not physically, but makes you afraid, mentally of the repercussions, then you probably shouldn't be in that situation.
Mm.
It's a red flag in of itself.
That's a word.
All right, I'll shut up.
Blizz, you next or me?
I'll go ahead.
All right. I got a lot of follow-up questions for you. I'm joking. I'm joking. Go ahead. I'm joking.
All right. So let's see. Mine is all of y'all know me from Lynchburg, or the Lynchburg area, or whatever. Lynchburg College, LC, all that. I met Desmond first, and then it was y'all after that. So let's see. I graduated high school in 2006. Lynchburg College was not the school that I was supposed to graduate from at all. I began at George Mason, but sometimes you deal with life happens, mistakes happen, and I did not end up finishing there. So that was a tough situation that I was in because I had to watch people that I started with there at that school graduate and do all these things. And here I am back kind of at square one. And so that was tough, you know, to see that and kind of have to think, okay, well, where would I be, or where would the trajectory of my life have been if I did originally finish that? So I didn't, and I had to kind of literally start from the beginning. I went back to community college, and I only had to go for a summer because I already had mad credit. Next thing you know, I'm in Lynchburg College, and that's where I ended up finishing. And so, like I say, it took me longer than others. You know, everybody's timing is different, but I guess I could say it definitely did bring out some good, because I literally would not have met y'all at all if you know, things had went the opposite way. And so, you know, me being there did allow me to experience new things, meet new people that are still in my life today. And it was just kind of a situation where I had to suck it up and not worry about what nobody else was doing and just focus on my shit and getting where I needed to be. You know, me looking at other people and seeing kind of what they're doing wasn't helping. I just had to focus on me at that time. And, you know, kind of keep myself encouraged and, you know, knowing that even though I did have to kind of reset, at the end of the day, my main goal was to finish. I was not going to not finish. It was no question, you know. So that was kind of a situation that I had to kind of push through and kind of humble myself and know that, you know, everybody's path is different.
Quick question for you. Do you oftentimes even now find yourself thinking about the trajectory where your life would be? Like, do you question that even at this point, at this stage in your life?
Every once in a while, but not like to the point where I'm down with myself. You know what I mean? Because like I said, everybody's timing is different, you know, in certain things. So you can't necessarily compare to what others are doing. You got to focus on what you are doing.
Well, I was going to ask you that, Liz. I was going to piggyback off of what Desmond just asked. Do you find yourself sometimes, I guess, being jealous of somebody that's doing better than you, or whose life is going in the right direction? It looks like yours is static, because that's what I was going through a lot. But I had to remember that, you know, and I'm getting biblical now, that that's not what God wants. God wants you to be your own person and, you know, be happy for the one that's blessed.
No, I never felt like, as far as the being potentially jealous or envious, the way I look at stuff like that is this: even though you may potentially view a person that quote unquote may be doing better than you, are in a different situation than you, don't be jealous, don't be envious, because at the end of the day, you don't know what that person is dealing with behind closed doors. So all that shit you may see,
even what that person had to go through to get to that point, right?
Right. So
yeah, that's true. Everybody's got their own season. Everybody's got their own blessings at different times.
Everybody's got their own journey that they have to walk too.
Right. So like, I don't want anything that's not for me. I don't want something that somebody else had, because I don't know what they had to do to get it. You know, no. The way I look at that is just, everybody has a different path. You can't focus on what other people are doing in that way. Be happy for them, but don't be envious. You don't know what they're going through or what they dealt with to get to where they are.
I often say, and obviously it's a common phrase, but I often say it doesn't matter when you finish, it's that you finish. Like, so if you have a goal set out for yourself, it doesn't matter when that goal is accomplished. It's that you have put enough into it that you do in fact finish. We see people now 90 years old graduating with degrees. All right. And obviously I'm not saying you should certainly wait till you're 90 to graduate, but the thought is there that if you have a goal that you've set out for yourself, that there shouldn't necessarily be a time limit or a time frame upon which you finish that goal. As long as you finish that goal, that's the most important aspect of it. So I commend you, Blake. I mean, I kind of share that with you because I started off at Lynchburg College. My first child was born, and not as a result of my first child being born did I leave, but financially I was not ready to be a college student. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And so my timing kind of got knocked off as well. I didn't graduate with my BA until 2013. So like I definitely feel where you're coming from. But I think for me it made it even more so something that I sought, something that I wanted. Back then I was still, like Fernando said in his situation, I was still immature, right? Like, so I wasn't serious necessarily about college, goofing off and playing around, getting C's and whatever. And then that kind of came and happened and was like, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I commend you, man. I commend anybody that's willing to whatever at whatever point that you're trying to accomplish something, that you're finishing it. And don't try to keep up with the Joneses. that's the old saying, right?
Yep.
Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, because like you said, we don't know what the Joneses are going through. We don't know what the Joneses got going on. We don't know what the Joneses had to do to get whatever it is that they have. You know, that Mercedes in their front yard might be nice looking, but we don't know what's going on in that house. So,
yep. And one last thing I'll say, one piece of it that was definitely tough in that specific situation was dealing with, I guess I would say, doubters. So it's kind of like, oh, well, you know, maybe you should, you know, go to the military. My dad was on that for me. I'm like, I'm not going. Like, I'm not. That ain't for me. You know what's for you. You know, he went, and that was for him. That worked for him. May not have worked for me.
Let me ask you this to that. Did you have to separate yourself from people because of that? Like, were there people that, you know, you were very close with, and because like they were kind of filling your head with that, maybe friends, that you were like, nah, like I can't deal with this person no more?
No, I don't think. You know, my friends, they were supportive.
Okay.
At that time, like I, you know, was transparent with them about, you know, what was going on. But the end of the day, I had to. It was more so family members, not necessarily nuclear parents, but extended family members. You know, people want to talk and all that, and have an opinion, but that's not for them to their decision to make at the end of the day.
Yeah, you got to live your life and be happy with what it is that you chose to do, not what somebody chose for you.
Correct.
You know, sometimes people will put you in this mold of what they think you are, right? And so when they give advice towards what they think you are. And not necessarily in a negative way, but, you know, we have preconceived notions about people and everybody, even ourselves, right? And so I think sometimes it's hard to just separate. You know, you definitely got my respect, but sometimes it can be hard to separate genuine advice from them just trying to push you into a mold, right?
That's why I stopped giving advice. I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes, like sometimes nowadays I listen sometimes just to listen.
Yeah.
Like no response given. If you want it, you'll ask me. But 9 times out of 10, I'm just like, because in my mind, normally I'm always thinking this person has already made the decision for themselves as to what they want to do. No amount of advice that I give them is going to change that. So, but no, I commend you. I commend each and every one of you actually for sharing these deep scenarios. I guess that's time for me to share mine.
Yeah, that'd be you.
All right, so mine isn't necessarily a tough situation necessarily, but you all went through this with me. You 4 gentlemen went through this with me. My wife went through this with me. Several people went through this with me. And really what it boils down to, and Nando, my sister, will probably think about this as well. But what it boils down to was making the decision to leave a job that I was at and had been at a place for 14 years of my life, right? It was a situation in which I had become accustomed to the people around me, to my coworkers, knowing them, seeing them on a daily basis, and knowing that this is going to be my lot in life for the rest of my life. This is where I'm going to be. And making a decision to go out on a leap of faith, to leave somewhere where comfort had resided, right? Where comfort had came in and put itself. And even though I was going through probably periods of where I didn't feel good about myself, or I didn't want to do this anymore, I stuck through those periods, right? I stuck through those times and allowed myself to become complacent, in a place that I know that I was not giving my all, right? Like I'm not giving, I'm giving my all, but I'm not giving my all, because I'm here, but I'm not really here. My mind is on something else. It is somewhere else. It wants to be somewhere else because I'm not feeling this anymore. Ultimately, like I said, I took a leap of faith. I took a leap of faith in an environment that I was not familiar with. I went out and got another job, and that's kind of it, right? Like I was in a place where for 14 years of my life I had inhabited. I had been there. I had been a person that was familiar. It was a familiar spot for me. It was waking up every day knowing that I'm going to be here from this time to this time. And I had to take a leap of faith. I had to take a chance on myself, not believing in myself and maybe even my abilities to do the next job that I went into, because I was doubting myself because of the place that I was just coming from. And so that was truly a tough situation for me. You all went through that whole thing with me. I was constantly messaging y'all, look, I'm going through this. This is happening today. This happened today. Can you believe this happened today? And you all challenged me. My wife challenged me. People were challenging me. So what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about it? You're miserable. You're feeling awful. You're not giving this your all. What are you going to do about it? And ultimately, I took a leap of faith and I left. I did.
Did you have a lot of like sleepless nights too, where you're like, crap, what do I do? You know, go back and forth.
Man, there was a period of 3 years. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. There was a period of 3 whole years in which I was waking up at the same time every day, and I could not go back to sleep. So I would go to sleep, wake up 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then for the rest of that morning, I'm up and thinking to myself, okay, what did I do wrong yesterday? What did I mess up on yesterday? What do I need to work on today? What needs to happen? And constantly beating myself up because of it. So much so I mean, it was part of the reason why I started going to therapy, right? Like doubting myself and doubting my ability from one job to the next was part of that reasoning. So yeah, sleepless nights, Fish. Yes, 3 straight years, man.
Are you happier now than you were the last 3 years of being there?
I would say so. I would definitely say so. Where I'm at has allowed me the opportunity to focus more attention on the things that like really truly matter, right? Like there were times, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, there were times where I felt like I neglected family, right? Like I felt like that I was neglecting people that I loved and cared for, who also loved and cared for me, just because I had to be at work. I got to go. I remember an incident, and people will probably hate me for this, but I remember an incident of leaving. I was staying at my grandparents at the time, leaving my grandparents' house, and finding out, watching this happen, but finding out after I got to work, my grandfather had a heart attack. And I literally watched the ambulance pull up, but in my mind, I got to be at work, right? And so I'm at a point now where I've literally been able to prioritize what's important to me, what are the things that matter in my life. And as Blake will probably mention, because I've said this to him several times, I value my time more so now than anything. It is very important to me, and time spent with the people that I really, really care and love on. And that wasn't necessarily the case when I was working there that 3 years, because it was always something, right? Like there was always an email that came in. You got to work on this. You got to fix this. This got to happen. This, that, and the third. I would go on vacations. I would be on vacation checking my phone for emails to respond to people. I remember one time somebody literally hit me up in an email. I responded to the email, and then this person goes, well, hey, you're supposed to be on vacation. Stop replying to emails. And it's like, but if I hadn't responded to you, you would have had a whole fit and probably told my supervisor that I didn't respond. And you saw my vacation respond. Like it's not like it wasn't there. So yes, I can honestly say that I'm a lot happier. Still got a lot of work to do on me. But I am a lot happier than I was those last 3 years. People who saw me would essentially say, like, they would have parties on the floor or parties at the job, people bringing food, you're not eating. I gotta get the work done. I got to get this work done. So yes, I'm not at that place anymore. So
yeah, because these jobs don't care about us like that. We are replaceable.
We are.
Yep.
And the bad part about that, bro, is that I knew that, right? Like that's not something I didn't know. As a matter of fact, I would share it with people. Like I would tell people, like at the end of the day, we're replaceable. But here I am checking away, trying to go over and beyond, above and beyond, to make sure things work and things happen.
Yeah, I had
You did.
Yep.
You did.
a friend told me a long time ago. He said, never lay yourself out for a company that wouldn't hesitate to lay you off. So,
and that's every last one of them.
yeah.
You know, and we're not sitting here telling you that you shouldn't work hard. Don't
Right.
Don't
There's a difference.
listen to that.
Do your job and go home.
Do your job.
It's a wrap. Do your job and
go home. Because burnout will happen, and as my brother Nando said, at the drop of a dime, they'll be like, oh, time for you to go.
Yep. I mean, at my job, I'm still on probation since last October. I'm not on probation until October of this year. They could let my ass go.
Yep.
whenever. I'm still on performance reviews and shit. So I'm not breaking my back for these people at all.
But I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I think the toughest part for me was making that decision as to whether or not I was gonna leave.
Yeah.
Right, like, because I kept going back and forth in my head. I'm comfortable here. I know this. I at least know this. I know these people. I don't know what's over there, right? Like, I don't know whether or not the grass is truly greener on the other side. And so I need to I need to really think about this. And I truly involved my wife. I talked to her a lot. We sat there, we talked back and forth. She told me weigh the pros and cons of everything. And ultimately the decision was to leave. It was a toxic environment. And yeah, just had to make the decision that was best for me. Like y'all were talking about LeBron earlier. Going to South Beach. But this is real, right? This is real because even as our listeners out there, you all are probably going through something tough right now that you don't necessarily know how to get through it, how to navigate through it, or whatever the case may be. And maybe our situations that we share today obviously probably are not the same as your particular situations. But hopefully through us, you were able to learn how we navigated our particular situations and how you can best now navigate through your particular situation. Feel free to contact us at any time. As you can see, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as YouTube. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you to follow us on those platforms, but I would also encourage you to contact us at themansperience@gmail.com. Maybe you're going through something and maybe you want advice. Maybe one of the fellas here could certainly offer advice or give you advice, or maybe you just want somebody that's going to listen to you. Like 9 times out of 10, that's what people want. Just somebody to be a listening ear to bounce ideas off of. We could be that. Like, we could be that for you. So please don't hesitate to contact us and let us know about maybe a tough situation that you went through that you resolved. If you feel comfortable, please do that, because we certainly want to hear from you all. This is not just us 5 gentlemen getting on here and just talking about our experiences and our livelihoods and in our lives. This is an opportunity for you all to engage with us, share with us, and learn from us, as well as we learn from you. So we want to hear from you. Definitely follow us, hit us up. Gentlemen, is there anything else anybody wants to say or has a question about, or anything of that nature?
One thing I heard from a friend of mine, seems like my friends have a lot of sayings, but one thing I heard one time was cold calculated decisions make cold calculated mistakes, but doesn't mean you shouldn't still try to make them.
I'd like that. Man, I should have typed that up and then put it in the thing. Yes. Anything else? Well, you all don't see Jamon right now. He's actually, I guess, rehearsing for a performance that he'll be doing. Maybe next time he'll come on and he'll actually tell you about that performance. Be on the lookout. Blake and myself are going to be on an episode of the Lady Brown Sugar Show. And you can catch that on Facebook, and she will also post it on her YouTube. They're going to be talking about dating. 2023. What's dating like in 2023? Yes, Nando, they got the married man on there talking about dating in 2023. I don't know what insight I might have because I stopped dating a long time ago. But certainly check us out, and hopefully if you all chime in and hit us up and be like, yo, we would love for Fish and Fernando to do a sports version of this show. Hopefully we can get them to do it. Because I think it'll be phenomenal. I think people would definitely watch. And yeah, ideas flowing in my head constantly. But always, as always, This is the Man Experience, and we invite you every 2 weeks to come and experience man as only we know how. We're going to be unfiltered at times. We're going to share our thoughts and share our ideas. We're not going to agree on everything every time. We're gonna be in some disagreements sometimes, and that's what makes it interesting. But at the end of the day, we are brothers, and we love each other, and we love each and every one of you. We will see you on April 30th for our next episode. As always, be blessed. Peace.